to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
What was that date?
Okay, we'll postpone approving the agenda from last meeting to August meeting, correct?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
We'll postpone approving the agenda from last meeting.
Minutes?
The minutes, I'm sorry, the
Sorry.
minutes.
Yeah, we didn't add them to the agenda because we didn't have any.
Right,
So yes, we will have the minutes at the next meeting.
okay. Okay, I would like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 2, RZ 22.07.01. A is general rezoning where the 2125 Stallings Road, PID 0709902 will transition from MU2 to SFR1.
All right, so I have a presentation for this. Give me a second to open it. That's right, I have a mic. Okay, so this is RZ 2207.01. So the zoning request, the owner of the property we have here behind me at 2125 Stallings Road, parcel ID 07099-002 is requesting a rezoning from MU2 mixed use 2 to SFR1 single family residential 1. The current conditions of property has a single house on there, and it's right next to the Stone Creek subdivision with the townhomes being built currently. This is the street view of the property. You can see it's a large piece of land, and there's only one house in the distance. It's currently, the use is single-family residential. It's not being used as a mixed-use 2 property. The density limits for mixed-use 2, it doesn't have any density limits for anything other than single-family residential, which are 4 units an acre. And the site's 22.885 acres currently. The land use plan for this area identifies this as walkable activity center, and which identifies it as a sit-down restaurant, retail, office, townhome apartments use. And it is located in the West Mall area plan. And we believe that SFR1 is inconsistent with the land use plan. But the history of it is when we did the rezoning of the town, when we adopted the new Stallings Development Ordinance in 2018, we rezoned this property to MU2 because it was in a small area plan, the Monroe Expressway. We were hoping that it would increase the marketability of this property so that someone would develop it and it would build it part of the small area plan. But as you can see, the property is still vacant. I think I have the applicant's comments in one of the things. So pretty much, long story short, they're getting an increase in taxes, a dramatic increase of taxes for the MU2 property. And they were requesting it to be SFR1 so they can reduce their taxes because Union County has a sewer capacity issue, and that's the reason why they haven't been able to sell their land. I also have the applicant here. He can tell you more about it as well. Do you have any questions about the rezoning?
So that's what it was when, before
Yeah.
2018?
Correct.
It was
It was
SFR1.
R20, which is the same equivalent as SFR1.
It is.
Yeah. So he's just requesting it to revert back to the original zoning. Would you like the applicant to?
If they'd like to.
Yeah. Would you guys like to? Say anything? What's up? Good to see you. Yeah. Okay. You are allowed to, yeah.
all so much as just emphasize to you what the facts of this matter are. The um, fair market value of the property in 2020 was $257,900, and the property tax was $2,626.81. When it was rezoned to MU, the tax value went up to $2,491,900, and the property tax increased to $20,509.48. That's a lot. And with the, especially with the lack of sewer capacity, which, as I understand, significantly limits the ability to develop this property, the dries feel like the property at this time might be overvalued. So that's why we're here. We're asking you to take a second look at see if you cannot, in good conscience, based on the facts that are available to you now, residential.
You're not a millionaire, huh? No, unfortunately. Thank you. Any questions?
When did you, I don't know, I guess who, one of you, when did you, did you know before it was rezoned that it was getting rezoned, or did you just get a tax bill in the mail? No letter or anything? Didn't we send out letters?
By the state statute, we did a half-page newspaper ad. I don't remember how many weeks in a row to notify the public, and that met the standard of state statute.
In what, the Charlotte?
North Carolina. We posted it. It's been a few years. I'd have to go look back, but thank you for reminding me so I can let council know that. But we did post it in either the Enquirer Journal or the Union County Weekly. I don't think we ever posted it in Charlotte.
Okay.
Someone live in the house currently? You live in the house currently? Okay, got it. That's what I, yeah, that's what I thought when I was looking at it. I was figuring.
I take care of the grounds.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Any motion?
Meeting.
Close
All right,
the hearing and then we can vote.
we close the hearing?
Now you can vote.
Okay. Have a motion to approve or deny?
Wait a minute, so you're saying, Max, the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan?
So what I'm proposing in this slide is you can vote and do the statement of consistency at the same time.
Yeah.
The first paragraph is an example that is consistent, or you can do the request as inconsistent. And then I have a suggested reasoning underneath. So you can do the top,
Okay.
the middle statement. But it's
Well, I would move to allow the applicant to have the his property rezoned back to residential, which would be SFR-1. Am I supposed to do the consistency thing too?
I believe the request is either consistent or inconsistent. You can vote in the affirmative and it can be inconsistent or consistent.
Well, yeah. And it's inconsistent with it's inconsistent with the comprehensive plan and future planning goals of the town of Stallings and is not reasonable and in the public interest for the following reasons. I can't see the rest of it. Do I have that in my packet?
You should, you can propose that the proposed use is not in harmony with the goals of the town, but it is reasonable.
Okay, it is reasonable. It's not in harmony with the goals of the town, but it is reasonable.
Yeah. And I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Next hearing is August. Thank you.
Okay, the next order of business is TX 22.07.01. Conditional zoning amendments to occur for Articles 5.4-3, 5.4-4, 8-8.2, and 8.3.
Public hearings for planning board. So that means we have to advertise it in the newspaper, like we send out mail notices. We have to post a notice outside. And that goes above and beyond what state statute requires. With public hearings being required for conditional zoning to the planning board, it's difficult for staff to get the documents ready by the time someone submits an application for the meeting in 2 weeks. So they usually have to wait an extra month to go to the next planning board meeting. And I talked to the attorney, and he was saying that since it's not required by state statute, that might be something you want to change. And that's why I'm bringing it here before you today. That's something that I believe that we can still get the word out there by internet, the rezoning signs, and not have to mail notices or put in the newspaper. So 5.4-3 is I'm changing hearing to meeting, and then I'm removing the first class mail requirement from that section. 5.4, I'm just replacing hearing with meeting. Hearing is a definition, different definition than meeting in the ordinance. Do you have any questions on request 1?
Okay, so, you said that you're only changing the, mailing. You'll still have a conditional, like rezoning to
Still the
sign.
same. And then for the council meeting,
Can't get
it'll
that.
still be, by state statute for the council meeting, I am required to do the mail notices and
Okay.
ads. But doing it both for planning board and it could be considered redundant. I know there were certain members in the past that liked extra notification for the public. It's not required in state statute.
Does it cost to put it in the newspaper?
It does, it costs almost,
But a lot of people don't subscribe to the newspaper anymore.
you know,
No,
Most people didn't.
every time. It's around $200 every time.
I don't get the Monroe paper.
It's on our website, though, correct?
We are required to put it on the website.
Now, for the council meeting, the people within property are notified by, in writing?
Yes, so by state statute, they have to be notified 10 to 25 days in the mail, 500 feet around the property. So pretty much, I send them out, I write up the hearing request and I send it out on the 25th day so that people can get it. And I don't have to rush on like the 10th day to send out.
Council will get all the controversy. Okay, sounds great to me.
Just remember, this text amendment is in two parts, so if you have any questions about the first part, let me know.
Sense.
I don't think I agree with it. Because even though we wouldn't get all the guff,
People don't
Because once-
subscribe to the paper anymore.
yeah, these people, is a good example, are a good example of not knowing what's going on. And I think by the time it gets to the town board, people have already, we've discussed it and said, yeah, and the neighbors are saying, wait a minute, I don't like it. I don't know, I'm thinking, okay, so I guess applications have to be submitted 2 weeks before the meeting. Maybe you could just tell them, look, if you want it to be on the next meeting, the August meeting, you're gonna have to you have to submit it 3 weeks before so that you have time to get it out.
Yeah, usually I just tell them, like if they submit it, just for conditional zonings.
Right,
For general reasons, we don't send the mailers out for planning board. It's not required in our ordinance. But
right,
it is required for conditional zonings.
yeah.
So like if they apply now, I'd probably say you likely won't be able to meet the August meeting.
They won't make the August meeting?
Like
If
if you
they
did it
apply
now.
by the end of the month, I'll probably tell them, okay, here's my timelines. I
Yeah.
need this information now. And if they can't get it to me by Sunday, which I do tell them, they'll have to go to the September meeting. Usually, people will submit within the date. The ordinance says that you have to submit by the last day of the month to be heard at the planning board. That doesn't give us enough time to hear notice properly for that month, so I will tell them the next month. It's not holding, I can do it. It's not holding me back. I'm just, it just would be more convenient for the applicant, not for the,
Something to say.
the residents per se.
Yeah,
But this only applies to the conditional zoning. We
right.
still do the proper mail notices and signs.
So you're saying, like, I mean, I'll give you an example of where it didn't matter what they did. Because the town of Stallings, somebody behind me, but not touching, I wasn't within 500 feet of where they were gonna place a Christmas tree lot on some land. At the time, it was empty. And I wasn't within 500 feet, but my other neighbors were, and they didn't bother to tell me. And at that time, I don't remember a sign being out there. So that's why I said if there was a sign there, I would have seen it. And the next thing I know, there's a Christmas tree lot and this humongous Santa Claus all night long, blown up, and you hear that motor all night long. And that's where my bedroom window was. And I was like, man, those trees didn't even stop that noise. I mean,
Yeah, trees don't.
And so that's where I'm like, it didn't even help me to have any notice in the, for your neighbors. Because if they were working and busy and it's Christmas and everybody's going a bunch away and nobody paid attention to anybody and didn't say, hey, they're gonna put a Christmas tree lot behind us, all of a sudden I know it's there. And you hear that big Santa all night long. And so I feel like if there's a sign, I see signs more when I'm driving around than I do when, I mean, I don't know, those zoning signs kind of catch your eye, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, those have to be out 10 to 25 days before the public hearing. So if we have a public hearing for planning board, those signs have to be out 10 to 25 days before the planning board.
Kind of like those
I
signs.
think that even if I'm driving and I see the sign, I mean, I'm, a little bit more involved here, but, they're asking to rezone this from MU-2 to SFR-1. The heck's, and I'm just driving, taking my kids to school or something. To me, it's not,
But if you live there, wouldn't you look it up? I mean, I would, if I lived there.
well, we would, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of people just wouldn't and then say, what the heck's this Santa Claus doing there or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think
People
that it's
might need
better
more
for the
time.
neighbors. I'm thinking, more of the neighbors than the applicant. And like you said, it's only for conditional zoning that we're talking about right now, right?
Yes. It's all one.
Okay.
one text amendment. So request two is currently in the Stallings development ordinance. You can only apply for a conditional zoning if it shows that it's a conditional zoning in the use table. So what I'm doing is I am adding a conditional zoning floating district. So we might be getting more of them too. That's another reason why this is one text amendment. So that people can apply for a conditional zoning on any property with the underlying zoning. Cannot currently do that. So pretty much 8.2, adding the district, and then 8.3,
Okay. Let's talk about this. Okay, so you're saying in any zoning, they could apply for conditional zoning?
unless, I think the definition says except for the overlays.
Oh, wait, you're on the last one?
Except for where?
Sorry, I'm still on.
Sorry, the definition says conditional zoning districts are established as companion district to the general use districts. So meaning like SFR, MU2, except for the overlay zones. Currently, we do have overlay zoning options in our ordinance, but no one has taken advantage of that.
So why do you want to do, so you're saying somebody can apply for conditional zoning with this in any district? And
Yes.
why do you want to do that?
So we do have a lot of people interested in a lot of parcels that don't, their development standards don't meet our ordinance. So this allows them to come to the town with the conditional zoning and allow alleviation from certain requirements. And it also allows the planning board and council to add additional requirements to their rezoning. So they want less setbacks, okay, well, the council can request more buffers. Currently, they cannot deviate from those standards at all, and a lot of people are walking away from developing in the town.
Is that good or bad?
Depends on
Complaint.
And I mean, if it's something really outrageous, it's not gonna look good, we don't have to.
that conditional zoning a few months ago.
The roof line or something?
Yeah, you can recommend conditions on it. I wouldn't go as far as every last aspect, but that's my recommendation. It's still technically allowed to do so. But, you know, you still feel free to add recommendations, something like a larger buffer, or I would say you can ask that they bring the elevations back to planning board when they get, if they get a final approval from council. So you can approve them. And
So this would also be residential. This would be commercial
you can
residential.
apply for conditional zoning and a residential development, or you could do a mixed use. So, for example, across the street, we have town center zoning. We could do a conditional zoning town center. Near the hospital, it's zone MU2. We do a conditional zoning mixed use 2. And then we have larger parcels out that are single family. They could do a conditional zoning single family. I don't think anybody would, because then they're still required to meet those standards of single family. think they would just do a general rezoning at that point to do a more higher density rezoning.
So just because I'm unclear of the whole thing, the kind of alluding to what she says, rezoning or conditional zoning in a SFR one, say in an existing neighborhood. I don't know why you would, but I wouldn't want to have, my next door neighbor zoned MU2, whatever, or conditional or something like that. Is that?
I don't think that's currently possible because they would have to get HOA approval. There are spot zoning laws, so you would have to be adjacent or near like uses.
Okay.
So if you're in the middle of a neighborhood, that would be illegal.
What they would use in a neighborhood, I was just thinking, we had something a long time ago, I think, like long time ago, where there was a neighborhood and they were trying to build and they were gonna fit a house on the lot, but and I think they had to like ask us if we would let them, I think it was maybe one side or back or something. I remember, maybe they were adding on to the house, something silly, anyway. And they had to ask us if they could, deviate into that setback.
That was Chestnut.
Yeah, maybe it
Yeah.
was, it was a long time ago. So would that be,
I think that one more relates to a variance.
okay,
This one's conditional zonings
be
are more
like,
so for like new subdivisions, new commercial development, not to expand.
so if they did a subdivision, they would ask us to give them a conditional zoning and say they wanted setbacks smaller.
Yeah, so for example, Bailey Mills
Houses.
townhome subdivision
Yeah,
was just recently approved. They requested a deviation from the setbacks and the road network. Stone Creek is a conditional zoning. They requested smaller standards so they could get more townhomes. South Stone is the single family home near Stevensville. They're conditional zoning. They have different lot standards. That's what's required. So that's kind of like an example of what people would apply for. For businesses, I'm trying to think, we do have plenty of conditional zoning businesses. Daycare on Pleasant Plains.
what,
There's like a.
oh, gate?
There's a daycare.
Oh, daycare, yeah, the
That's a
big one?
conditional zoning, the big one.
Yeah,
They were.
they have a big gym in the
Yeah,
back.
so they have their like, their gym is close to the road.
Yeah,
I think in their conditional zoning, they had a site plan attached and that was approved. Without the conditional zoning category, they wouldn't have been allowed to be put there if they weren't in our current ordinance.
expensive daycare.
So this is all one text amendment, so if you don't like any aspect or you want to change any aspect.
What was the last thing you said? If you don't
So,
like,
so if you want to change, you want to make a recommendation to change something in the text amendment, or you don't find, let's say, I remember you were not interested maybe in changing the meeting, changing hearing to meeting, but you like adding the conditional zoning district, I would say I still would vote against it because you didn't like the first part. But so that means it would vote against like the whole text amendment. So you didn't, does that make sense?
Can't vote on one without the whole thing.
Yeah.
All or
I
nothing.
Got you.
have a long
Yeah, yeah.
explanation.
No, I got you.
Just say all or
I'm- yeah.
nothing.
I'm like,
I got kids, so I'm used to breaking it down.
why?
Alex's condition, the town manager's like conditioned me to, and meetings to present like these things in like 30 seconds. I'm having super difficult to get out of the top on now.
So we're like the first stop in the process.
Yeah, like the
You know.
process on you guys.
We can say yay or nay to it. If we say yay to it, it goes to the council and they have a public hearing and everybody's notified of it and they can come in and voice their approval or disapproval, and the council makes the final decision.
Correct.
Now, if we say no to it, does it still go to the council?
Yes.
We say no to this?
Yes,
It's-
or you can recommend to table it to another
I don't see the need to have notifications about everything.
I will
On our
say,
level.
yeah, and I
On
will
our
say
level.
something to that too, because people obviously don't look at their mail, even when it's important to them, because half the people are like, oh, they're gonna widen Monroe Road, a DOT man talk. I'm like, how many years have we been talking about this? So obviously, they don't look at their mailbox, but I'm just,
I think people are more likely to look at a piece of mail from the town than they are whatever the newspaper.
maybe.
I don't know. I just,
A lot of people don't subscribe to the Charlotte Observer, it's so expensive.
Or the Inquirer.
Or you could make a recommendation that we change to the fourth community, but still require newspaper ads.
Well, mailers
Oh,
would be
okay.
cheaper than, or less expensive than,
Yeah, could we just use our printer?
yeah.
But we do still have to send it out like first class mail within 500 feet, so that does get expensive, but.
taxpayers' money.
It's your money.
Yeah, it's our money.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just think it's redundant, you know. People
Yeah.
come out one meeting, they won't come out two meetings. Especially when the final decision is gonna be the council.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is true, because when we did those townhouses behind my house, people were all excited because the planning board, I wasn't on the planning board then, and they turned it down because it was, anyway. And the council didn't even have any discussion at all, and hardly, and just approved it. But I will say, because all the people came to the planning board meeting and were all happy when they left, I kept saying, you've got to go back to the council meeting.
Right.
It's not over.
Mhm.
Just because planning board doesn't like it, doesn't mean that the council, they can
Right.
like it or not. So, and nobody much showed up, and there wasn't a whole lot of people there. So the council was just like, oh yeah, we'll just pass it. So if there's two meetings, some people just don't want to give up two
Well, like you
evenings.
said, they had the wrong impression. We
Yeah.
denied it and they figured it was all over.
Yeah.
So what you could do
So
is
I
you
don't.
could make a motion,
but you said it's all or nothing.
the whole text amendment's really
So then I can't, because
You can
I
recommend.
can recommend
You
changing.
could say, I recommend approval with the recommendation that we keep mail notices in the ordinance.
Okay. I, so.
She makes a
What do you
motion.
say?
That's your motion. So you recommend approval of TX 220701, with the recommendation that we keep mail notices in.
But
It's
they
still a
s-
meeting.
And that's mail notices of everything 500 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
And
let-
it's still
I'll
a
let
meeting.
Controller do the rest. So,
Okay, so we're just saying we're not gonna advertise it, but we still have to send out mail notices. Okay, I'd be okay with that.
Gonna make the motion?
I did.
Second
A
it?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
well, then you,
Oh, I can't vote, that's right.
That's okay. We'll just not count yours.
since the motion was, did not include the consistency
Um, okay, regarding zoning amendment TX 22.07.01, I move that we accept the statement of consistency and reasonableness as submitted to us by the planning department.
Second that.
Approved. All in favor?
Go.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Got it.
I don't mind open, I don't.
Okay, and the last item is TX 22.07.02. A is Development Agreement Amendments to Articles 7.15 to 1B, 8.4 to 6B, and 8.5-1B to make the process better suited for the town of Stallings and the developer.
Written by the lawyer, so I'm not gonna read all of this word for word. What is going on is that development agreements are required for properties 25 acres and over. So there are agreements in the town that are add additional paperwork and requirements. You can require trying to describe it. I know what it is. I'm just not able to spit it out now. You can. It's a timeline event, so they can have 10, 25-year vesting in this development agreement. They can add architectural requirements. They can add all different deviations for the development in the development agreement. That's a negotiation between staff, council, and the developer and the lawyer. It's a very lengthy process, and a lot of properties that currently have development development agreements for a huge multi-use, mixed-use project with different phases that will take, over 10, 15 years to develop. And for example, Bailey Mills is a small town home community that has a development agreement because they were required to do so. So what I'm requesting tonight is that we just delete the requirement for development agreements for properties that are 25 acres and over, and make development agreements voluntary. So 7.15.1.b just removes the requirement of development agreements larger than 25 acres in size. Same with 8.4-6, that all mixed use 1 and 2 developments are required to have development agreements that are 25 acres in size. And same with 8.151-d for the TMDL overlays. So this means that development agreements are completely optional, and they can still be suggested by the town. But a developer has the choice to or not to enter into one.
How does, oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
how does that, keep the developers in those large 25 acre to their obligations to the town?
We still have ordinance requirements that they would have to meet. So usually what happens in the development agreement, they'll say this development has to meet the standards of the ordinance. Well, regardless, if they were to be developed, they have to meet the standards of the ordinance anyways. And there are only like maybe 5 parcels left that are vacant and not accounted for that are 25 acres and over in size.
I think I was just originally kind of thinking the time frame, like if it's a 15-year plan, making sure they're at, year 7, they don't back out of the agreement or something. That's kind of what I was alluding to there.
Yeah, I know, for example, but a development agreement does allow them, like maybe an extra 10 years to come back and develop it. But usually what happens is another developer will come back in 10 years anyways and buy the development regardless. But this does give some more, development agreements do give more assurance to the town that it will be developed. And also, whenever it gets that far in the process, they usually bond the development. So let's say if it's a residential community at the final plat stage, they would bond all that work that hasn't been completed and submit it to the town. So even if there was a recession or something and they walked away, the town has that money to meet those improvements. So we still are covered in that way.
So what do you mean voluntary? Like we say, okay, we want a development agreement, and the developer says, no, I'm not doing it. How does that any different than what we have now?
So, passed, we could suggest and they could still say no. But currently, our only method to require it is if it's 25 acres. So they can still apply for it even if it's under 25 acres, but they don't have to. Our ordinance requires it for developments over 25 acres.
So we could still say it's 15 acres. We want a development agreement. It's got no, okay.
Yes,
All
we
right.
could request. And they usually would say yes because then give them a long vesting period. So like for example, a conditional zoning, I would have a 2-year vesting period when the development agreement, they can request 15, 25 years, 30 years to redevelop it.
Who makes the decision on the development agreement? Is it the town or is it us or town council?
So it would go to you guys for recommendation. But it's usually a negotiation. So for example, I've never done it in town, but we have started a process before. And we sit down with the lawyers, it's a very expensive process, and staff and the applicant come up with a draft. That then has to go to planning board, then it has to go to a subcommittee meeting for council, and then it has to go to council for approval. But they also have to include a lot of information in the development agreement, like a TIA, a traffic impact analysis study, is required to be included in all zoning agreements, which just makes it super expensive. The developer still required like a paper for the development agreement and the TIA, and we see that as more of a voluntary action instead of requiring it. That's just my recommendation.
So off the top of your head, what have we got left that's that big?
We have the EPCON rezoning off of Warriors Road.
Where
It's
they,
off of Warriors Road, there's a 25-acre donut hall.
Side
It's like 25.4 acres.
where is it at?
Across from Emerald Lake, courtyards of
Oh, and Epcot wants to do that?
Emerald Lake. And they want to do 55 and up community. There's also the farm. Like, what's the name of the farm? There's a farm off
Just tell me the road.
Smith Farm. Smith Farm.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I can't
yeah, yeah.
say it.
Now I
Yeah.
feel
Smith
better.
Farm. It's the
I do
Smiths
that all the
that own the
time.
farm.
I was like, what am I?
Yeah, still got that. And is there something at,
There's properties right near the Independence as well.
and there's nothing left that way. And Idlewild was the last big one on ours.
So there is.
And there's nothing on Lawyers. That's in Mecklenburg, right? Or is
So
there?
Lawyers Road does have that one.
Yeah.
There's properties behind that Wilson's farm,
Yes.
behind that, there's lots of acres that could be combined to become 25 acres. But
Yeah.
like Stinson Farms.
Yeah. That's really the only other, there's nothing, because Lawyers Road is in Mecklenburg, isn't it? That one piece near 485?
Make a map for properties that are 25 acres.
Yeah, I'm just trying, there really isn't much left.
No, there's not. I would say there's maybe 5 more opportunities.
So there's no legal requirement that we can force somebody to have a development.
If the council decides to pass this, yeah.
And what did that thing say up there? It said something about.
But if you want to come visit my office, and I can give you all the stacks of development agreements we have for properties all over town.
None of it- If they
Show
don't,
me what?
All the development agreements we have.
Oh.
So if they
Yeah.
don't do what they were supposed to do 10 years from now, we're all gonna be somewhere else and you're gonna be,
If I'm still here, I don't have to enforce it.
right, are you gonna remember though? Oh, wait a minute, they were supposed to.
This says until the, and this little letter thing that the lawyer wrote says, yeah, we believe that legislature intended to allow local governments to require development agreements. The law was unclear at this time, so we recommend until the statute or case law is clear. So that means that could change in North Carolina statutes.
And we would probably
And then you'd have to, if they required you to do it, you'd have to.
and also the development agreements will spell out some legal trouble.
Exactly,
And this would remove
exactly.
that. I didn't want to say that out loud. I can't say it.
Yeah,
Is that for the record?
Strike.
that's what I was thinking.
I think it's been done.
I have no idea.
Any other questions? We hear a motion.
Oh.
To approve or defer the request or to deny it.
Make a motion to approve.
And,
Also approve the consistency statement.
Statement of consistency and reasonableness.
and it's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the statement of consistency.
And the statement of consistency. Yep.
second,
Vote?
Aye.
A second, I mean, I'm sorry.
yeah, I second it.
Okay. All in favor or to
Aye.
Aye.
passes?
I think that's it.
And the last but not least, I want a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn this wonderful
second?
meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I think